Hello everyone, and welcome back to my personal channel. Today, we are discussing Futurama. Futurama holds a special place in my heart. Back in my sophomore year of college, after having my heart broken and my knee blown out, I was wallowing in a deep depression, and I watched countless hours of Futurama on endless repeat, straight from the end of the last season back to the beginning of the first season. Recently, Futurama has been brought back from the long dead by Hulu, and the new episodes are okay. This isn't a full review of them, though maybe I will do that at one point. The reason I'm bringing Futurama up is because their most recent episode is all about Bitcoin, and I'm a professional cryptocurrency researcher and a semi-professional cryptocurrency podcaster. So I've decided to pull out every single Bitcoin and crypto reference from the episode and over-explain them all to you until they're no longer funny. The episode opens, as nearly all of them do, with the professor walking in. But this time, he announces that he has suffered the fate of many cryptocurrency traders.
News! Bad! We're bankrupt! Oh, I borrowed money to invest in Bitcoin. Then the price crashed and I sold at a huge loss. We're ruined!
What's especially funny to me about this joke is that it could be about many of the individuals who did this. The retail traders who lost tons of money, their life savings in many cases, but also many of the top traders in hedge funds who have recently gotten blown up, Alameda Research and Three Arrows Capital, not to mention others. However, shortly after announcing they are bankrupt, the attention is back to the TV, where we learn that volatility works both ways.
In other news, Morbo, guess what's back?
The planet Clark?
Nope, the price of Bitcoin.
What?
The virtual money is soaring once again, leading to a high-tech gold rush.
Prospectors are heading west, where cheap, filthy electricity beckons the desperate.
The scare quotes on money are great here, as is the metaphorical gold rush. There are currently a bunch of Bitcoin mines being built wherever the energy is lowest. Often this means where hydroelectric power is plentiful, but there are some that get built in other places too, because that's how Bitcoin mining works. And what this does mean is that Bitcoin miners tend to kind of rush to the same physical location as if they're actually mining something that exists, if that location has the cheapest power available. This gives our professor an idea on how to solve their bankruptcy. But Leela has a word of caution.
This gives me a desperate idea!
Haven't you learned that Bitcoin is just a pyramid scheme for rubes?
Leela takes the easy response to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies here, which is that so many people have already gotten hurt on this niche thing that has limited, if any, benefit. So why would you engage with it at all? Why would you not look at all the people, including in this case the professor himself, who have already gotten hurt and decide to just stay away? And I think that's a defensible stance to have on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, I don't think they're literal Ponzi schemes, and I've explained why before, but being dismissive of them is understandable with how much hurt they've caused. The professor, like many formerly top cryptocurrency investment firms, isn't interested in Bitcoin for Bitcoin, though.
Yes, and my plan is to exploit those rubes. You see, the new mining chips are made from element 81, thallium, a rare element found out west. I plan to actually mine it, then sell it to the Bitcoin miners. It's a sure way to repay my loan brokers.
Now, as far as I know, thallium is not actually used in very many computer chips, but this type of picks and shovel philosophy has been the stated investment thesis for many cryptocurrency firms, so why not Planet Express? We also immediately get the reveal about who loaned the professor money to buy Bitcoin.
Yo, we're also leg brokers.
Goodbye, Robot Mafia!
That's right, the Robot Mafia. An appropriate choice for cryptocurrency lender, just knowing what I know about actual mafias. The team heads out west, and as they get closer, they encounter a strange atmospheric phenomena.
The Bitcoin mines are using such colossal amounts of power that it's ionizing the atmosphere. We'll need to land and drive the rest of the way.
The joke here is pretty obvious, I think. Bitcoin uses an absurd amount of energy for what it is, and this has serious environmental effects. The really fun thing about Bitcoin, and by fun I mean horrifying, is that the incentives of Bitcoin are such that the more valuable Bitcoin is, the more energy spent will be consumed in the mining process. This means if you know anyone who is hoping the price of Bitcoin will continue to go steeply up, they are also hoping that the energy consumption of Bitcoin will continue to go up. The more you know. They finally arrive at the city, and it has a name that Elon Musk would certainly recognize.
Welcome to Doge City! Looks like you got 7 hornswogglers and a galoot.
Yep, that's right, a Dogecoin reference, though I think the 100 people who live in Doge City is more than the number of daily transacting users for Dogecoin. As they ride into Doge City past lazy Bitcoin holdings and wallet, they realize it looks strangely archaic.
Kind of old-fashioned for a town built on high-speed computation.
Well, every watt of electricity goes to the Bitcoin mining computers. For everyone else, it's practically like living in the Old West.
Now, what's fun for me about this joke is the fact that it could be a reference to the paradox of thrift. Bitcoin is a deflationary currency, which means it disincentivizes spending, which is a part of why it's a bad basis for an economic system. So I love to imagine this is the writer saying Bitcoin would send our economy careening backwards, and we all be living effectively in a pre-electricity era. After this group stops in at the local saloon, Bender finds himself attracted to an auction, and we get to see how they spend Bitcoin.
All right, up next, our final item. This burrow is in near mint condition. Perfect for hauling Bitcoin, lighthouse work, or just abusing. Bidders, do I have any bidders?
12 millionths of a Bitcoin.
12 micro Bitcoin. Do I hear 13? 13?
Not from me, you don't.
15!
They're talking about micro Bitcoins here, which is not something actual Bitcoiners do. If they wanted to make this more realistic, they would multiply these numbers by 100 and denominate them in sats or satoshis, the base unit for Bitcoin, and the one that Bitcoiners actually use. The group eventually takes some thallium they found to an assayer, and here we see a demonstration of crypto mining.
May I ask who turns the thallium into microchips? I'm an all-in-one operation. My motto is, he who smelts it, doubts it. Pop one of those in a high-end server and blam! You're mining crypto. Ooh, looky there. Found another Bitcoin. Oh, dog dumplings. It's just a danged Ethereum.
Now, technically, there's a few problems with this scene. Both Bitcoin and Ethereum are cryptocurrencies, yes, but one, Ethereum is no longer mined, and it seems unlikely to me that 1,000 years in the future they would go the other direction on that decision. Two, even when Ethereum was mined, it was mined using different algorithms and hardware than Bitcoin, so you couldn't use a Bitcoin mining rig to mine Ethereum or vice versa. Still, kind of fun to show the rivalry between Bitcoin and Ethereum, I guess. A later scene in the show shows us a scheme to seize Bitcoin.
See that stagecoach? It's taken a USB stick with the company's weekly haul of Bitcoin credentials to a bank in San Francisco.
Yes, it really is possible to steal Bitcoin physically in this way, though hopefully there are passcodes and encryption outside of just physically sending an unencrypted hardware wallet. But hey, Wells Crypto would probably fuck that up the same way they fuck everything up. Eventually, the group realizes that perhaps things are not what they seem, and there might be something strange going on at the tavern/brothel in the Bitcoin mining city. Actually, before I get into this, if you guys are interested in brothels in Bitcoin mining cities, you should listen to the podcast that Cass and I hosted called Innovated Blockchain City, where we took a look at a smart city that was supposed to be built, connected to a brothel and a bunch of other stuff in Nevada, and it feels appropriate for this. So check out Innovated. I'll link it in the description. But our group of Futurama friends here realize that there's something strange going on at the tavern/brothel.
Oh, it's an immense Bitcoin mine, or an even worse brothel.
These aren't servers. They're robot heads. Someone's using them to mine Bitcoin.
That's actually a pretty reasonable use case for robot heads.
So the reason this is hilarious to me is because that one of the most common types of malware nowadays is cryptocurrency miners. Like seriously, tons of cryptocurrencies are mined by bot farms that were created by malware. And so this definitely seems like that's what's being alluded to here. Unfortunately, our friends are discovered.
Didn't you ever wonder who was getting rich off all this Bitcoin nonsense?
Never.
Computer servers are expensive, but robot heads are cheap. Heck, free.
Mining Bitcoin with kidnapped robot heads? It's pure evil.
Yep, the person getting rich is the one stealing, which again is very crypto. Though as the professor said, that would be pure evil. Unless, of course, there was a way around good and evil.
Hardly. I donate all the proceeds to a local orphanage.
Yep, an effective altruism joke. You should watch my full podcast episode on that, by the way. But yeah, she did a Sam Bankman-Fried. She was doing a FTX. She was doing the classic, I do evil for good ends, and she even has a better name for it than they ever came up with.
But I can't let you tell anyone about my generous scheme.
I love both the name generous scheme and the threats to people who might expose it. Both such beautifully crypto things, I say as someone who has received multiple cease and desist letters. When the group finally gets Bender back together, he gives us a description of cryptocurrency mining.
Crypto mining was total hell. Any number you can think of, there's a number bigger than that.
This is pretty close to how Bitcoin mining actually works. You're running a hash function until you get a number with enough zeros at the beginning that you're lower than the current difficulty target, and your block can be accepted. So endlessly hashing to get a specific value does feel kind of like think of the biggest number you can and add 1. So I think Bender's description here is kind of fun, if not perfect. So that's it. I was glad in their cryptocurrency critique they landed on some of the criticisms they did, including references to effective altruism, to bot farms mining cryptocurrency, and that many of the people getting rich are the worst ones. And even though I think these episodes have flaws, I'm personally glad to have this show back. If you enjoyed this brief reaction, then please consider checking out some of my more serious content, like my recent video where I took a look at Donald Trump's indictment for the coup he planned. Thank you for tuning in.